going to be learning some myON basics. If you've never logged into myON, you can do so by logging into your Renaissance account. Once you've logged into Renaissance Place, you'll need to scroll down and look for the purple circle that says myON. From there, you should be able to click on it, and it should take you straight into myON. In today's session, we will learn how to access library and news, use filters, monitor students, share bundles, and assign projects to students. To access the myON library, you need to go to the Library tab and click it. A toolbar will pop up. On that toolbar, you'll see Recommended, Browse, My List, Search, and Standards. As a teacher, if you click on Recommended, you'll get an error if you do not set a grade level. This particular account is a 5th grade teacher, so I can edit the setting by clicking Edit Setting. I can now select 5th grade and save. As a teacher or admin user, you really do not need to set that grade level because you'll use the search and the browse more. The recommended is more of a student function, so I wouldn't set the grade level. The Browse tab allows you to browse books by category. You can select fiction, nonfiction, and graphic novels. Below are some categories. If you select a category such as animals, that category is then divided into several subcategories. If you click on one of the subcategories, for example, dinosaurs, you will then see the list of books that are available, and from there, you can browse the library. Notice when I scroll over the books that these tabs come up. This is the Read tab that allows you to read the book. This is an information tab that tells you all the different information, such as the book levels, how long it is, if there's audio. The Add allows you to add it to your favorites list, and the Take AR quiz allows you to take an AR quiz. The My List tab takes you to a page where there is a default bundle. Keep in mind, anytime you add a book to your favorites list, it goes into the default bundle. We'll be talking more about that later on in the session, but just know that anytime you add a book to your list of favorites, it goes to the default bundle. The Search tab is probably the tab you'll use the most. If you click on the Search tab, and your screen looks like this, make sure that you click on this little funnel and it opens up all the filters. You can search by title, series, author, description, publisher. You can also search by fiction or nonfiction. Lexile, that allows you to move this little bar right here. ATOS level, that's your AR level. So if you have it set right here between 1 and 2, it's going to give you everything between 1.0 and 2.0. Guided reading level, this one is really popular. You can put it to what guided reading levels you would like to search. Grade level, again, you can move that bar around. Language, you can filter English and Spanish, and book type. This just basically says the length of the story. And when you get into like epic, that's going to be your longer chapter books. It also shows if audio is available or not. The last filter we're going to look at is the standards filter. If you're going to filter by standards, this will give you some selections of books that you can use to teach those particular standards. So when you select a standard, you're going to go to California Content Standards and then Subject, Grade Level, and then Subsection, and Search. This will break it down by standard, and you can go to that particular standard and click on it. It will then bring up a list of books that might be good when teaching that particular standard. If I want to monitor my students' reading habits, I would need to click on Classroom and then Reports. There are several different reports, and each of these squares contains a brief description of what is included in that report. I like to run the reading habits report. So if I want to run the reading habits, I'll go right here to reading habits and click it. I can select a date range. If I select my students, it'll just be my whole class. Date range starts at the beginning of the year, but say I want to run it just for the month of November. I can click on November and then do the same thing on this one, and then hit Run Report. This gives me a summary, and then as I scroll down, I can look at it by individual student. I can also look at times of day, as well as goals if I have any. If my students are using myON News, I can also go to News Reading and see what they're reading on myON News. This will show me how many articles and how many minutes they read. Now that we know how to use the filters and pull some reports to see what our students are reading, I'm going to show you how you can share books with your students. Bundles are one way that you can share books with your students. It's a very loose suggestion. What it does is it creates a band under the students' recommended tab. And I'll show you what it looks like and what I mean by band when I show the student view. All right, so first I'm going to show you how to create a bundle. So you've learned how to use the search tab. Say you're discussing a topic such as jobs, and you want your students to read books about different jobs. So you can start by searching that topic, and then maybe you want to narrow down the level. So I want to keep it at an AR level around 2 to 4. So I'm going to update that. And you'll notice that some books come up. As I hover over them, you'll see that this red Add tab comes up. If you click on the plus, that will add them to your default bundle. And your default bundle is the bundle that is used to create more specific bundles. I'll show you what that looks like. So I've added some to my default bundle. So if I go up here to list, you can see that I have all of those that I just added in my default bundle, but I want to put them in their own bundle called jobs. So what I would do is I would scroll down and I would add a bundle. I'm going to call that bundle jobs and hit the plus. Okay, so I can do this a couple different ways. I can just drag those books to that bundle, or if I want to, I can go to the list view and I can click on all of the ones about jobs, and then I can just say move to the bundle jobs. Now, all of those books about jobs are in my bundle, in my jobs bundle. So if I click on my jobs bundle, I can see them. This is on the list view, and this is on the grid view. So now if I want to share them with my students, I can go up here to the gear and simply click on Share with Students. Keep in mind, this will share to your whole class. So if you're library or admin staff, you have to be careful about this because this will share to the whole site. So if you're a classroom teacher, it will share to your whole class. You can pick a date that you want to share to. If I just want to save this for later, I'll say don't share. And then when I'm ready to share, I just click here and then I can pick a date that I want to share until. The calendar comes up and I can pick, oh, I want to share it until February 17th. And then I would hit save. From the student side, a band will come up. And when I say band, I mean when they go to recommended, this is a band. This recommended these books for this student because they are in his ZPD. This is a recommended band because it's new books. And this is another recommended band because it says books popular in your grade level. So when you share a bundle with students, a band will come up that will say jobs. We named that bundle jobs, so they will get a bundle that says jobs and it will appear in a band like this. The only thing that is a little bit unpredictable is you don't know if it will come up on the first band or the second band or maybe all the way at the bottom. That's why I refer to it as a very loose way to share books with students. You may want to encourage them to scroll all the way down and look for that band title of the bundle that you pushed out. A little more direct way to share books with students is by creating a project. A project sounds like it's more complicated than it is, and there are a lot of features in myON projects, but if you're just beginning with a project and you just want to get books for specific students to read, a project is a good way to do it. This particular teacher has divided her projects up into the names of her reading groups. She let the students pick the names of the groups, and they picked names like watermelon, french fries, froyo, and popcorn. So we're going to add another group and call it hamburger. So to do that, I'm going to click on create a new project. And I'm going to call that group hamburger. Now I don't have to add anything to it. So my project is ready to go. I just have to add books to it and then assign it to students. There are other things that you can add to projects, such as news tasks. That would assign them an article. You can definitely look up an article and add to it. There are other things like graphic organizers. For this project, we're just going to keep it simple and use this project as a way to get a list of books to certain students. Okay, so we're going to hit save. I'm going to save our hamburger project. Now, if I'm looking for books for my hamburger group, I want to find books that are high because this is my above grade level group. So I'm going to look in my library. I'm going to do a search. And I think that I want to find them some above grade level books. So I'm going to look at some 5th and 6th grade books. And I'm going to add a few. Now, if I want to add them directly to the hamburger group, if I hover over them, I can hit this info tab. And if you see up here, there's a little folder. If you hover over that, it says add to project. So I can add that directly to my hamburger group. So I've added the Lincoln Memorial, and I'm also going to add this one, the U.S. Constitution. Now, if I go back to my projects, I'll go to Classroom and Projects. You notice that my hamburger project is still inactive. That's because students are not assigned to it. So as soon as I want it to go to students, I would hit Assign. Now this is just for a couple kids in my class that are at a higher level. So I would just type in their names, and when their name comes up, I just add them and hit Apply. So now I have students assigned to that. I can add books at any time. I only have 2 assigned to that group. And if I want to add more books, I can just go here to where it says Reading, Hamburger, Manage Books. I can see that I have the Lincoln Memorial book there, and I also have the creation of the U.S. Constitution. I can find more books to add to that group at any time. So what this teacher has done is she has made her reading groups, and she is able to add books as well as take books away at any time. She's also able to edit what students are in which group. This is just one way that you can use projects. Another thing to note is that students can have multiple projects. So for example, you can have projects as reading groups, and then you can also have projects for the whole class. So when the students go to their projects tabs, they can see if they're in the froyo or the hamburger group, they can get the book list for that group. But if you're studying animals, they can go up to the animals project, and all the books that you've selected for your students to research animals will be there as well. They can have multiple projects. When a student goes to access their projects, they're going to click on the Projects tabs. And as you can see, the hamburger project came up. So if this student clicks on the hamburger project, she sees that there are 2 books in this project to read. And you can put as many books as you want. I recommend starting with about 3 to 6. Once that student has read those books, you're able to see on the teacher side who has finished and who has not finished. We've gone over how to access the library, and we will be looking at the news as well. We've learned how to use the filters. We've learned how to access reports to monitor student habits, and we've also learned how to share bundles and assign projects to students. So like I said, we will go over the News tab. myON News is a really great feature. The students are able to read news that is age appropriate and at a few different levels. They're able to see a new edition of news daily. If they want to choose yesterday's edition, they can go back. If they want to choose a few days back, they can go back a little bit more. If they want to browse by category, they can browse by these different topics. They can look for articles. Students really enjoy this feature and it gives them a lot of exposure to current events. Keep in mind, reading on the news does not count towards their minutes on myON, but you are able to link articles to projects. This is a feature that I would encourage you to check out and let your students explore on. I hope today that we learned how to use myON to give students access to independent reading and assigned reading. And I also hope that we are able to access myON, use filters, monitor student reading habits, share book bundles, and assign projects to students. Here are some resources for additional learning. As always, feel free to email any of the EdTech staff for questions. Thank you for learning with us.